Hello and welcome to another episode of JumpCast. We've got an absolutely packed show for you with the week's news, trailers and reviews of Free Guy, Don't Breathe 2 and Coda, among others I'm sure. I'm Simon Whitlock and my trusty co-hosts are here as ever, Alex Gilston and Charlotte Harrison. Hi guys, how are you doing?
Hello!
Ahoy!
Ahoy. I love that we're carrying on with Ahoy, Charlotte.
Yeah, I'm going to make it happen. Alexander Graham Bell, it's what he would have wanted.
Yeah, maybe I need to change it up. Maybe I need to not say hello every time. It'll get boring.
Yeah, I think you're right, Charlotte. I think Belle was onto something there.
It's just so pleasing to say. You can't say it and be sad, can you?
Exactly. It's like saying bubbles. You can't say it when you're angry. But anyway, how are you guys doing? How's the last week been for you?
Yeah, it's been great!
That sounded so sincere, Alex.
It's been so good. I've had such a good time. It's just been usual, but I did have a day where I watched 5 films.
Oh my gosh, that sounds like the perfect day.
It was a big day. Yeah, I watched a few different ones, a few rewatches, a
Okay.
few new watches. Steven Soderbergh's Logan Lucky. That was very enjoyable. I adore Adam Driver in anything, and you know what? I love to see Daniel Craig have some fun. After all these years as James Bond, he deserves to have a role that he can sink his teeth into properly. And then the other one that I want to mention is Colour Out of Space.
Yeah, the Nicolas Cage. Yeah. What did you think?
I don't know, Simon. I don't know.
Well, he'll come up later on very briefly.
Yes.
But yes, that sounds like the fair enough reaction to Colour Out of Space. Charlotte, how's your week been? Have you caught any new watches?
Yeah, it's been good, thank you. I've been carrying on with Boardwalk Empire, now deep into season 4, and I was home for the week. I did a binge with my mum of Cruel Summer on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
10 episodes. It was described to me as Memento meets Gossip Girl.
Oh,
okay.
An interesting combination.
Is it though?
Yeah, I would say it's a really good description, actually. So it's set over 3 different years, 93, 94 and 95.
Right.
Involving these 2 teenage girls, but all 3 years are told kind of interwoven.
Okay.
So you see the same day in each year and how the domino effect of certain things happening at certain times. It was really good.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
okay.
I had that recommended from a friend, and I want to get that watched. It does look really good.
Yeah, it really kept me guessing.
Nice. I might actually have to check that out. I'm always a sucker for some very high concept stuff. So yeah, that does sound quite good. My week hasn't been that exciting in terms of new watches. Well, beyond the big films we're going to be discussing. So yeah, I'm unfortunately a bit lacking. I did catch some of Clarkson's Farm on Amazon Prime over the weekend. Not amazing, but it's exactly the kind of fare you'd expect from Jeremy Clarkson fooling around on a farm.
Mr. I got a U and an E in my A levels, and look where I am now.
Every year without fail. Oh,
sorry, I don't know. Maybe we need to do like a white man of the week on JumpCast. We kind of
this week.
Jeremy Clarkson, it's your turn to come on to JumpCast.
This week, just like every week, it's Ryan Gosling. Oh gosh. Well, anyway, out with the olds. Let's say last week, and in with the news. See what I did there.
Very nice. Very nice.
And well, this week we've got mostly casting news to get through because there's not been a lot in the way of major drama. We've got one sad little update with regards to delays. We should probably start with that actually. So Venom: Let There Be Carnage, an absolute mouthful of a title, has been delayed, we believe, because of the Delta variant. Initially, it was just in the US. Now it's official. It's going to be in the UK as well. The 15th of October is when it's now due. We did mention this last week about the worries with delays for releases. Guys, do we have anything more to add after that discussion?
Yeah, I just It's interesting, isn't it? Because now they've delayed it to a time where it's going to probably struggle even more against other really big releases. So I don't know. It's going to be strange. I wish they could have just kept it, but clearly the uncertainty is too big. And it's also made me very nervous for Spider-Man because, of course, Sony have control over the release of Spider-Man. Disney don't deal with that. So colour me very terrified that that is going to get delayed too.
Yeah, I'd second that. I'm trying to not get too concerned, but also not look forward to things too much, as I've spent the past 18 months pretty much.
Say, it does feel weird. I mean, there is a weird level of hypocrisy. So for those so inclined, the Premier League started up a few days ago as well. And what's really jarring, especially with news of delays in cinema and obviously some uncertainty about theatres ongoing for stage performances, is that there are no restrictions, COVID restrictions for football stands. So there are full crowds going to see Premier League games all weekend. And we're still talking about, oh yes, cinemas might not be a safe space. When, if anything, since reopening, cinemas have been so careful. It's just really disappointing.
Simon, hold me back. I'm going to get angry. Hold me back. Hold me back.
But yeah, we should probably try not to get too bogged down in that conversation again, because it will not cheer you guys up, and it will just bring us down as well. So, okay, let's go for something a bit more uplifting, a bit more cheerful. Well, we've got a game-based film, a video game-based film based on a video game universe coming. So why not carry on with that train of thought, whatever that was. So Sonic the Hedgehog 2 has had some casting announcements. One a little bit outside of left field, I think, but I'm a fan. Idris Elba is going to be the voice of Knuckles.
So beforehand, I honestly could not have told you who I would want to play Knuckles in a Sonic the Hedgehog film.
You didn't have your fan cast ready?
No. No, I did not. But now it has been confirmed, I can't imagine anybody else.
I think the timing of this is really good as well. Straight after the Suicide Squad. Like, I'm on board now.
The Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah. The sequel.
Let's hope that Knuckles has like a strange weapon that's got lots of different attachments to it.
Yeah, every part of his outfit is a lethal weapon.
I must admit though, I'm really sad you've not read out the news as it's written on our handy crib sheet, 'cause that caption is brilliant.
A little bit of behind the scenes insight, dear listener. So when we're getting all the news bits together, and well, actually all the plans together for each episode, we put together little headlines, and this one was particularly fruity, let's just say.
Go on, Simon, say it. Do it.
No, I can't. I've written it, but I don't have the courage to say it. So
I
let's
believe
move on.
you have written Idris Elba goes Knuckles deep.
You know when you say something out loud and it just like there's regret.
I feel it. I feel it from you.
Yeah.
But you know what? Just own it. Own it, Simon.
I may have to. At this point, I'm going to have to just, defend that. Anyway, speaking of moving on, it looks like Cruella 2. Let's see.
No,
there.
I saw... I wish I knew who I saw say this, but somebody said, like, Crew Tour, because obviously the 2 L's is like
L's.
Roman numerals for 2.
Oh, I can see that being what it is as well. But that seems to be moving ahead. Interestingly, Emma Stone has apparently signed on to Cruella 2 after weeks of speculation regarding any legal action in the wake of Scarlett Johansson's action.
I'm going to be honest. I think that it was literally just wild speculation when it came to Emma Stone, just because of... Obviously, the release of Cruella was handled exactly the same as Black Widow, but it would seem, or at least it's been reported, that Emma Stone got a a prepayment in good faith from Disney for Cruella.
Okay.
An 8-figure good faith prepayment.
Jesus.
That's pretty good faith.
And it would seem that for Cruella 2, she will also be getting another 8-figure prepayment.
Oof.
I think making her the highest paid actress in Hollywood.
Blimey.
I would reckon so, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Gosh, that is big. Disney, if you ever want to do any actions to me in good faith, my
Well, maybe
do your knuckles.
them.
Do you go knuckle deep?
I was thinking like JumpCast the movie, like an animation live action hybrid.
Oh, okay. Like
kind of like Space Jam, but better.
Wait, Space Jam 1 or Space Jam 2? Because one I will take very personal offense
to. Well, you know.
Okay.
I don't know. We won't go into that one, Simon, because I'll probably make people very angry.
Yeah. But while we're talking about Disney Plus bits and pieces, we can't go without mentioning arguably the worst name for a movie ever. Home Sweet Home Alone. Yes, you heard it. It's the new Home Alone film. It was only a matter of time before another one got churned out. And you know what, guys? This one's got a pretty decent cast list. I mean, you've got Archie Yates, so Yorkie from Jojo Rabbit is going to be the kid in it. You've got Ellie Kemper, Rob Delaney, Aisling B. I mean, that's got to sound promising, right?
Yes. Yes, it does. I was gonna see like if Charlotte interjected, but she did anyway. Yeah, no, I absolutely loved Archie Yates in Jojo Rabbit. I thought he was wonderful. One of the highlights of the film for me. I thought he was so brilliant. So that's going to be really interesting, and whether he's going to have his little English accent going on in it. And then of course Aisling B. I absolutely adore her. A sitcom This Way Up is.
Oh, it's terrific.
Sublime.
So
I've not seen the second series yet, but I'm going to get on that very soon.
Oh, I implore you to watch it as soon as you can. It is
agreed.
So good.
So yeah, no, on paper it should be good, but they've ruined it with the name. So
that was the reason for my pause. With that title, I feel like it could fall under the subgenre of like what happens to good actors when bad movies happen to good actors.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Maybe we need to do a feature on that. That would be interesting, actually.
That's got legs, that one. I think that's but yeah, that's the news in brief, everyone. We do have a surprisingly full week of trailers. So without further ado, let's get stuck into some trailer talk. So first things first, I mean, it was probably the most significant announcement trailer thing that we had out in the world this week. Prisoners of the Ghostland. So for those who aren't familiar with it, it's a Nicolas Cage film from the same production company, I believe, as Mandy and Color Out of Space, the aforementioned. And it looks very much in that vein of tone, certainly, and execution, for want of a better word, given the content in that trailer. But it looks really fun. I've heard some good things coming out of different festivals, and the trailer has me sold. What are you guys feeling on that one? Charlotte, what are your thoughts on Prisoners of the Ghostland?
Yeah, I'm here for it. After Mandy just blew my mind at London Film Festival about 2 years ago, I really like the path that Nicolas Cage's career has gone on, that he's kind of either Hollywood rejected him a little bit or vice versa, and it's pulled him into some really interesting directions, with Pig coming out in a couple of weeks. I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh god, yeah, Pig is happening so soon.
I'm so excited to watch this film about this pig and Nicolas Cage being angry about the pig. Can't wait. Can't wait.
Let's say, and after Color Out of Space, where are you feeling on your anticipation for Prisoners of the Ghostland, Alex?
I'm intrigued, very, very intrigued. I think I need to watch Mandy because I've been told various good things about that as well. Now, I wanted to get this in, and you know what? Whoever wrote this on Twitter, if they're wrong, then, you know, don't shoot the messenger. Okay. But apparently, Nicolas Cage has done on average a film every 2 months for the past 5 years.
Wow.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Let's say, because there was the whole thing about him, well, being broke some time
Yeah,
ago.
he got in a lot of debt, didn't he? So he said to his agents, just get me anything. And that is what has led to this kind of very interesting subgenre of film, which just includes Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. You know what, I'm here for it, because, like you said, he's making some really interesting choices now. I don't know if that's because the debt has eased up a little bit and he can be a bit more choosy, but I think he's getting many more hits than misses, especially these days.
I mean, look, he was literally just in a film that is kind of loosely based off Five Nights at Freddy's, where he has like 3 lines and he just kind of like this really stoic, very strange character that it's like the weirdest film I've seen this year, hands down. But it's great in its own way. I feel like you can't rate Nicolas Cage films on the same level as other films. It's not. It has its own scale.
It really does. For those who aren't in the know, that film that Alex was referring to is called Willy's Wonderland.
Of course it is.
I recommend giving it a go. If nothing else, just to see Nicolas Cage go ham on some Chuck E. Cheese dolls. It's great.
And I don't want to like spoil it, but there's this weird like thing that is a thing throughout the whole film where every certain amount of time he has to drink an energy drink or something. And it like, why does it need that? Doesn't need to be in the film, but it just feels like it's a very Nicolas Cage addition. Like it was like Nicolas Cage was like said to the director or the writer or something. It was like, you know what would be really good characterization in this film is if I had to do this thing like every so often. And it just feels absolutely Nicolas Cage. And of course we can't go without talking about a film that he's going to be in next year, where he's literally playing himself.
Oh, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, I think it's called.
Exactly. where Pedro Pascal is a celebrity superfan, and he invites Nicolas Cage over to his birthday party, to Pedro Pascal's birthday party, and Nicolas Cage is somehow an FBI informant. Because Pedro Pascal's like into some nasty stuff. Absolutely pinnacle of Nicolas Cage films.
Oh, I need it.
It's gonna be great. I just can't wait.
It's the cinema event of next year. Like, you can take your Batman. You can take everything else. That's what we're here for.
I love it.
And I love Pedro Pascal. Has such weird energy for someone so attractive. I love it.
Oh my gosh. He is.
After The Mandalorian, he can be my daddy anytime.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay, right. Anyway, so...
There we go, moving on.
Anyway, so, don't know about you guys, but I am a big St. Vincent fan.
Actually, had never heard of it until this trailer.
Okay. Charlotte, St. Vincent, yay or nay?
And what I've heard, I like. I've not heard much, but I like what I've heard.
Okay, well, you guys, you're gonna love Nowhere In. I tried. So, yes, it turns out that her and Portlandia's Carrie Brownstein, sorry if I'm saying the name wrong, have collaborated on a film called Nowhere In INN, but I'm sure it must be a play on some kind of words. It bills itself as a horror, comedy, documentary, concert, mockumentary thing. The trailer looks absolutely bizarre. They've got Dakota Johnson involved in some capacity. The trailer will tell you more about that, but I'll leave that to your imagination. You disgusting imagination. That is actually not too far away. This is actually coming out next month. So we don't have that long to wait, guys.
Very interesting.
I feel like I want to see this with an audience. I don't know why. It just looks kind of weird that on my own I might be like, whereas with an audience it has that weird energy of the communal experience.
So apparently this was meant to premiere at South by Southwest earlier this year or last year. And then obviously that did not go to plan.
It's very South by Southwest music. Yeah, it's in that ballpark.
And say it looks like it would do absolute bits at South by Southwest or anything like that, really. So yeah, this will be one to watch, I think. That's coming on demand as well. I think it's on Apple TV. So yeah, that's probably going to hit a hot and streamy down the line, probably in more ways than one. Oh gosh. Anyway, onto more PG fare. We've got, well, probably the most PG thing there is on this entire rundown. A Journal for Jordan. It's Michael B. Jordan in what looks like the most cheesy, the most mawkish, the most military propagandist film you'll see this year.
Yeah. That's all I need to hear on the matter, Simon.
I mean, if you're that way inclined, in the US it comes out in Christmas, so wedged just between Spider-Man as it is coming out now and West Side Story, so good luck, Michael B. Jordan. There was this whole thing about, Charlotte, you mentioned it earlier before we were recording, a whole thing about whether or not he's actually a good actor.
Yeah, after that trailer, I did have my doubts slightly. Then I remembered Black Panther, and then I was back in the game.
Oh gosh. I say, I will always stand by him for the Creed films and Just Mercy. I think,
yes,
you know.
completely.
Oh, Just Mercy, so good.
So good
in Just Mercy. Yep.
Oh gosh. Speaking of big films coming out next year, I'm really looking forward to Creed 3. Don't know about you guys. That was a less rapt response than I was expecting. Okay.
I will see it. This is true.
Okay, I love those films with a great deal of my heart. So yeah, I'm very excited for. You know what? Even though this looks absolutely naff with a capital N, I am kind of rooting for Michael B. Jordan a bit. And this is a Denzel Washington film as well, we should say. Directed this. So yeah, it's an interesting mix for something which doesn't look, like, for all the world, like a film worth even bothering with on the big screen. It looks like a Hallmark movie. But
yeah, it really does. Oh my god!
Its release date suggests they're pushing for the award season. So I wonder if it's a problem. It's an issue with the trailer edit, maybe that trailer 2 might be more compelling. Hopefully,
maybe. Yeah, we'll have to.
Couldn't get less compelling.
Yeah, but yeah, you know what? The jury's out until we see more, I think. But yeah, off this first impression, I'm not amazed. Likewise for this film. So I don't know if you guys managed to catch this. Worth. It's the new Netflix film coming out again in a matter of weeks. I don't know why they bother so little with marketing for their films, for the love of God. But this is coming out just in time for the 20th anniversary of the September 11th attack. It's Michael Keaton, Stanley Tucci. Basically, it's a bit of a human drama, courtroom drama almost, about the victims' families' funds. Looks like it could be very worthy, surely. But yeah, I'm not sure. From the trailer, again, it looked very, just looked very puffy. I don't know. What did you guys take from that?
I'm not sure. I'm really about it, to be honest. I feel like it's going to be a film that's driven by its performances. You know, you got Keaton and Stanley Tucci, and I don't know, beyond that, really.
What was that wig they put Tucci in? Like, honestly, he looked awful. I love my Tucci. He didn't look great. No. The Tucci.
Oh, love Stanley Tucci.
Him making cocktails over lockdown.
Yes, that was so good.
Oh gosh, he was great. You know what? I'm still willing to watch this for Tucci alone. Like Supernova last year when I saw that at the festival.
Oh, don't. Oh, so good.
I saw it again on the big screen last month.
Yeah, so did I.
I have not seen it again, unfortunately. I didn't get a chance to catch it. Back at LFF, I got to speak to Harry McQueen about it.
Oh, wow.
So good. I love it. I think it's such a great film. So good.
Oh, blimey.
Love it.
That is a film and a half, that one.
It is.
But, okay, and to round off our trailer chat, before we get into the meat of the matter, we had a little surprise one come through, actually. Wild Indian. This one I didn't really know anything about until, Charlotte, you brought up this trailer. I was really impressed off the back of this.
It shows very little and doesn't really tell you much, but what I saw, I was really intrigued by this kind of childhood trauma coming back to haunt them in the current day.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a really interesting cast. You got Jesse Eisenberg, you got Kate Bosworth, and the guy who plays I can't recall his native name, but when he's in more gentrified communities, he's called Michael. He looks really, it looks really great as well. I think it's going to be a really interesting, maybe under the radar one for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll have to see what happens there. But that was trailer chat. Now, before we get into the reviews, which I know some of us are looking forward to chatting about, we have some.
But very quickly, just before we do that, there's a bit of news that's just come in as of recording.
Oh,
exclusively.
Breaking news.
Dum dum dum.
Variety. This kind of actually very interestingly comes off the back of the Venom stuff, the Venom news, Sony Pictures. Anyway, Variety are reporting that apparently Hotel Transylvania 4, or shall I say Sony Pictures, are coming close to $100 million deal with Amazon Prime.
Wow.
For Hotel Transylvania Transformania.
For just Hotel Transylvania?
Just Hotel Transylvania, yeah.
Whoa.
Okay, that's very
100 million
interesting.
plus deal. To Amazon Prime, and that'll be globally.
So
Blimey.
Apple TV paid $25 million for Coda, just as a reference point.
Oh wow. Okay, yeah, that's crazy. Mad. Well, I think although at least this article says that the Hotel Transylvania franchise so far has net Sony $1.3 billion in box office revenue.
That is crazy money.
I've never seen any of those films either.
The first one's great.
Is it?
I don't
Okay.
really remember the second and the third one, to be fair. But yeah, no, it's good. It's so that I just had to get that in. I couldn't not talk about that just as I saw it.
Oof. Wow.
Cinema.
Okay. Well, on that bombshell. Cinema. On that bombshell, we should jump straight into saying some very big thanks, which are always, you can't put a price on a thank, but well, you can, as we'll find out. Charlotte, you're honoured with saying a big thank you to our patrons.
Yes, I am taking the lead and shining the spotlight on the people we have much crazy, stupid love for, as they allow this to happen. So we have lots of patrons who help support our podcast through the Patreon website, patreon.com/JumpCut Online. And they have 3 options to choose from, 3 membership levels. The Nice Guys and Girls, The Place Beyond the Pound, and We Crazy Stupid Love You. And the people we'd like to thank are Chris Wilson, Enon Films, Robert Tenney, Darryl Griffiths, Sam Luck, Orla Smith, Peter Hodgkins, Andy Meakin, Fabiana Rosas, Hamish Calver, Martin Richmond, and Manuel Binto. Thank you so much for your support. We love you muchly.
We do indeed. Oh gosh. As I say, thank you so much, Charlotte. And yeah, absolutely. As here and 1,000 times, say thank you guys, and please do give your very hard-earned cash to keep giving new writers and contributors a chance on the JumpCut website, and also to keep us rolling around, because it's what we love doing. Okay, so shall we get some reviews out of the way?
I think we should.
Okay, well, I think we've had a pretty big film come out. I don't know if you guys have known. It's
Oh really? I couldn't have even guessed.
Well, I'm looking forward to this conversation because
I'm not Simon.
Well, shall we jump straight in?
Rip that band-aid off.
Let's rip that band-aid off. So, unless you've been living under a rock, you'll know that the big release of this past week has been Free Guy. Sean Levy directed, Ryan Reynolds producing and starring, the story of a guy called Guy who works at the bank and then finds out one day that his entire life is a lie. And, well, with a little help from Jodie Comer's character, Millie, or Molotov Girl, as she's known in the game, he starts to realise that maybe he can change things, and well, maybe even help the people on the outside of the game as well, for the better. So before I get into what I thought about this, I'd love to hear what you guys thought. Charlotte, what did you think of Free Guy?
I thought I really, really liked this film, and then the opportunity arose to try and see it again next week. And then the fact I didn't want to see it again last week showed maybe I only really liked the film. I didn't like it as much as I thought. Okay. But also, I think I had a really good time watching it at the press screening because I was there with lots of my friends. It was a massive audience, the biggest audience I've been part of since the before times. So maybe I'd kind of peaked. I don't know. But I'd say it was a solid 3 stars. Really good 3 stars.
Okay. Let's see. Was there anything in particular which was maybe not wowing you as much, or did wow you in particular?
I think it's slightly overlong. It could do with a little bit of a trimming. It could be a really solid 90 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
But I love the performances. Yeah. Maybe Taika Waititi, I'm getting to a certain point with some of his performances that he's putting in.
Yeah, I will agree with you there. I think
I saw there was loads of deleted scenes available of his scenes, and I was like, nah, I'm all right.
I did see that there was stuff on the cutting room floor, and yeah, I did think maybe keep it there. I can very slightly hear Alex seething in the background.
No. I again, actually, very interestingly enough, very similar to Charlotte in the fact that it was probably the busiest screen I've been in since before lockdown, because it was the Cineworld secret screening.
Oh, right. Okay, you saw it at the secret screening.
Yeah. And it was completely full. I think usually at those screenings people leave, but only 2 or 3 people left. So it was still
that's really good.
fairly packed up. And yeah, I think that maybe did put a bit of sugarcoating over it. I'm not going to say that it's perfect. I don't think it is. I think there are issues with it. But overall, I had a great time. And it proves, I think, that a video game film can be done. And it can be done to a high standard. And it can also be done without completely rejecting video game culture and not embracing it properly.
That's very fair. I think, yeah, I wanted to like this film a lot more than I ended up doing, unfortunately. I think what it was for me, I just don't know. I don't know if I gel with Ryan Reynolds' whole shtick. Like, when I came off of Deadpool, like, I enjoyed that, and then after that I was just seeing that performance everywhere. And like, I know that he's been doing kind of that performance in particular since the Van Wilder days. And it's just like, it just feels so saturated now. I don't know if that's just because he's everywhere, and so it's just seeing that performance from him all the time. But I just can't get on board with it anymore. I think the last straw for me was Hobbs and Shaw when he was in that for a little bit. And he was just doing that times 1,000. Oh no. The film itself was fine, but just that bit, I was like, oh god, please go away, Ryan, please.
I do wonder though if Free Guy kind of suffered from. I mean, it's been like advertised for about a year, right?
Yeah,
over so probably.
It kind of, some of the beats seemed really familiar because we've seen them so many times.
Yeah,
I think
potentially.
so.
And his press has been unrelenting.
That is very true. They have proper gone ham on the marketing of that film, to be honest with you. However, some of it was very clever. Some of it was really enjoyable. But I think it did get a bit tiring seeing the trailer over and over again on Twitter and things like that.
Absolutely, yeah.
But stuff like the Deadpool and Korg thing, doing the trailer reaction, I thought that was great.
That was alright.
I also thought that that I think a few days before the film came out, they released some kind of mishmashed video game Free Guy posters. They'd like mashed it with Animal Crossing and, and Minecraft and Pokemon and stuff. And I thought that was really cool and really interesting way to kind of drive people towards watching the film. But yeah, Simon.
Yes.
Do you like Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Funnily enough, because obviously he's in Hobbs and Shaw with Ryan Reynolds as well.
I do like him. I think he is a very interesting screen presence, and I will more often than not enjoy things that he's been in. I can't think of the last film I actively disliked, aside from Hobbs and Shaw, but that's not his fault.
So I would say that, and this isn't necessarily a dig at you, Simon, but I would say that maybe some people would necessarily say like, oh, I really like seeing Dwayne Johnson in things. You know how well received Dwayne Johnson is in anything that he's in.
Yes, yeah.
But Dwayne Johnson delivers pretty much exactly the same performance in everything he's in, and no one ever really complains about that. But now Ryan Reynolds is doing it. Everyone's talking about it.
Oh, okay. Now...
That's all I'm saying. But again, Simon, I'm not saying that's you, but I have heard some people who would necessarily say that and then criticize Ryan Reynolds for doing the same thing.
Okay.
I just think like maybe Ryan Reynolds is just like that.
I think, you know what, he might well be. I just think that, I don't know, it just feels now like, okay, come on, do another performance, Ryan, please. But yeah, like, it's enough for me that I'm not, like, actively trying, it's not like Corden level. Like, it's not ubiquitous.
Corden it off.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it just feels a bit like, I want Ryan Reynolds to be, for me, up at the potential where everybody seems to have him at now. And like, I don't know, I feel like there's a disconnect for me in particular. So, you know, Ryan, if you're listening, I'm sure you're a lovely guy. You seem really nice. I just, you know, I want to see a different side of you. I'm sounding like Simon Cowell now. But
it's a no from me.
It's a no from me.
Seen Buried? His film was that 2010, I think.
I have. And you know what? That was... I was like, that's what annoys me, is because I've seen him do a Buried. And like, I want more of that, please.
Yeah, no, I can agree with you on that, but also I do stand by my point.
And can we also give him credit, because Green Lantern would have killed his career, right? It's impressive.
Yeah, it really could have. Yeah, completely.
Yeah, no, I agree with you with that entirely. I think one thing we can all agree on as well is that Jodie Comer was really great.
Of course she was. I mean, was it ever in question?
No word of a lie. I tried to get into the jokes in this film. The only times I distinctly remember laughing out loud were when Jodie Comer was on screen.
See, I remember giggling quite a lot, to be honest. I can't. To be fair, I can't remember what at, but I was giggling.
That's my problem too. I'm trying really hard to remember certain jokes. I can remember one, but I don't want to spoil it. Like, I'd give the punchline away, trying to.
Yeah, I think I know which one you mean as well, because that one comes to mind.
I think it has to be said as well that, and even though, yes, a major corporation, capitalistic corporation, did make and release this film, it's really interesting that underneath the bubbly exterior and the kind of the video game IP references and all of that kind of stuff, it really does have something to say about the video game industry and about, and it does kind of give light on the struggles of indie developers and things like that. And I feel like that was really interesting and really dealt with quite well, and especially through the kind of pantomime villain that Taika Waititi plays.
Oh god, and then also, it's a very pantomime performance, I'd say.
And also kind of the idea that you just got to do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
What's the point in sticking in this kind of monotonous do the same thing day in, day out if it's not making you happy, if it's not what you want to do, then go and try and do something else. Go and be guy, be free.
One thing I will say... Oh, go on ahead.
How it is the pacifistic manifesto as well.
Yes, absolutely. I did appreciate that kind of subversion of what those games exist for, and just having Guy be the complete antithesis to that. I thought that was really great. One thing I will say, I don't know if this will get much mention elsewhere. I've seen some reviews already. I tried to avoid them before talking about this, but there was a book that came out some time ago called Mogworld, which is very similar in premise and execution to this film. It's very good. It's very good. I recommend it. It's a kind of comedy-ish as well. It's very, very video game literate and very reference heavy. I think it was written by a video game critic or writer. It's very fun. I recommend as supplementary reading. I'm not suggesting at all that one has influenced the other in any other way beyond, it's a similar premise. But yeah, it's worth a read on that front, I'd say. Certainly, I think it gets its references across better than I thought this film did. Certainly in that final act, without giving anything away. Like, that just felt to me a little bit like Disney swinging its...
Yeah, not to give too much away, obviously, but do you think, this is really interesting, do you think that without the delays, those references would have been in the film?
Ooh, I'm
and that
not sure.
Big old cameo-io.
That big old cameo-io, I think definitely not.
Yeah.
I think the other bits possibly,
because
with a lot of money
sure
thrown at it.
When it was meant to be coming out, the 20th Century Studios acquisition had just happened.
Yeah, it was. I think it was meant to come out. Well, probably with everything else last year.
Yeah, early last year. Yeah.
So
obviously they've had a long time to add stuff if they wanted to, and that felt like it was added beyond the fact.
Yeah.
Or after the fact, shall I say?
I wouldn't be surprised,
Speaking of cameos, how do we feel about when they've got the real life people in it, the vloggers?
Oh, you mean the
streamers?
Okay.
Yeah. Is it Twitchers?
Twitchers, yeah.
Twitch streamers, YouTubers, yeah. Yeah, Cringe Central.
Yeah.
And I kind of, because I went into it knowing that the one thing I was going to hate about the film was those cameos and those, and then it ended up being a thing throughout the film, and I was like, wait, just so Jacksepticeye's only going to be in this for 2 seconds, isn't he? And then it ends up, and then you've got Laser Beam, and he's got a full-on speaking role, and
Dan TDM and people like that, yeah.
I'm just right, okay, we've seen them now. Let them go away. Bye.
You know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of the second Kingsman film when Elton John's in there and you think, surely this is just a cameo. And then he's in it for the whole film.
But then I do have to kind of stick at home with my idea of it being true to video game culture and it embracing video games and the culture around video games. And I feel like them being in it does truly embrace that.
Yeah.
In a way that other video game films probably don't.
That is actually, yeah. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Charlotte. Sorry.
I agree with you on that one. I did find it funny when they then emphasised the point by showing the entire world watching during the final sequence.
Okay, this is one thing I did have an issue with. So I think this actually came up again on a Twitter thread. This goes to show how much of a life I have outside of this podcast. Is that someone took issue with the people in, I believe it's meant to be on the Indian subcontinent, all gathering round on the back of a knackered old truck, watching it on a tiny TV. And can we stop that stereotype, please?
Yeah.
Just
yeah. I do have to say that somebody on Twitter at Jack R King, AR King, tweeted, those of you who said nice things about the major motion picture Free Guy, do you keep a piece of your brain in a pickle jar next to your bed? Or...
Wow!
So that really went in ham for people who like this film. I felt properly called out when I saw that tweet.
Okay, yeah, I'd never ever go in that hard on something like that. But wow. I mean, I didn't love the film, but yeah, Jesus.
Just an interesting insight into how people feel about the film.
But that's the internet all over, isn't it? You can't just have a middling opinion on something.
And one final thing, I feel like Warner Bros. Need to take a lesson from this film in how to actually juggle IP in a film properly. Space Jam in your legs.
Yeah. Well, we are. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but we are expecting Free Guy 2 in the near future.
It does look likely.
Apparently, Disney have ordered it already. They want it to happen. I'm guessing, Charlotte, from your response, that not an exciting future ahead.
Just,
for you.
I really liked the idea that this was a nice, compact, told story. We didn't need to unpick stuff. It finished off. It wrapped stuff up nicely.
Well, it's funny because Ryan Reynolds actually said that on Twitter. He said when they were developing it, they only envisioned it as a singular thing. But money talks.
Oh,
Yeah,
Disney talks, so to speak.
Disney
as well.
money talks.
that mouse.
Yeah.
God damn it, Mickey.
Oh no. But yeah, I see that for me slightly undoes the noble, honourable message at the end of the film.
It kind of does, yeah. I mean, like I said, you've got to take it with a grain of salt anyway, because it's being released by a massive capitalistic, major corporation, isn't it? That has a chokehold on the cinema industry currently. So yes, it's a bit weird coming from that particular studio, but also it's nice that it still tried to put that message across. Yeah,
absolutely. And well, from one big studio to another, well, trying to be big player in the film stories, in the film stakes. So as you mentioned, Charlotte, earlier, Apple had acquired this film Coda for $25 million at Sundance, and well, we've now all had a chance to see it, I believe. So I think we should. I know we touched on it very briefly last week, but I really want to get into this in some more depth. So if you guys are okay with that, of course.
No.
Oh, well, okay, fine. Well, thank you for listening to JumpCut.
Of course.
Well, okay, so hopefully since the last episode, everyone listening has had a chance to catch Coda on Apple TV Plus. This is not a plug for Apple TV Plus, but if you download now, then you get no. But Apple, if you know. Again, good faith payments.
8 digits, I hear, is doing the rounds.
I'll even be in Cruella too. But yes, so Coda, it's the big festival darling from earlier this year. That tells the story of Ruby, who is the coda, the child of deaf adults, who is torn, shall we say, between a potential prospects of being a musician and her obligations to a family of trawlers, and well, and it's what's she gonna do with her life? It's incredibly sweet, incredibly charming, but you know, we've had some people who've been sitting on this for ages. It must feel like. So I'm going to open the floor to Charlotte and Alex to give your thoughts freely on Coda.
I'm happy for Charlotte to take it away.
Yeah, so I did my kind of mini review last week, and I talked about how much I loved it. I've read a few articles since about the representation within the film and how perhaps it doesn't go far enough.
Okay.
Some people have called it out for being insensitive towards the portrayal of the deafness.
Right.
However, I do wonder, I'm not informed enough to discuss that in that much detail, but the film has been critiqued by some people for being too formulaic, but I think it shows a lot that it's formulaic. Where's my train of thought? I've lost the train. I don't think it is. I think it's really being harshly critiqued in a way it doesn't deserve.
Do you think that's possibly because of the exposure it's getting?
Potentially. But I also think with any film that gives a opportunity, a platform, a voice to a community, it almost gets critiqued for not going far enough. But I think you can't just take giant leaps. I think sometimes baby steps are just as good.
Yeah. And so, especially with people with hearing impairments, like that representation has been coming, like, thankfully very recently. I mean, not least you have like big blockbuster films like A Quiet Place has people who live with hearing impairments or deafness at the front and center of it. In fact, that's a major part of the story with the daughter in that, Regan. And then The Sound of Metal last year. Obviously, that was a hit, losing one's hearing over.
Wait, was that not this year?
Was that not this year?
This
Might have been
year.
last year. This year. Oh blimey! What is time anymore? And then yeah, we have Coda. So yeah, like you say, we're coming along in terms of, well, at least one hopes that we're coming along in terms of representation there. And I agree. I think it is harsh to say that it doesn't go far enough. I think this is certainly. I don't know. It feels like we have so few of these films that I think, like, the fact that it's in the mainstream and the fact that, like, it's made such a splash in terms of impact, certainly among studios and things like that, and seeing as it had a big price tag on it by the time it was brought up by someone, yeah, I think that this is the step forward. But Alex, how do you feel about Coda?
It is a positive step forward, but it really, again, just lands in the same camp as Sound of Metal did earlier this year, where after the fact of watching the film, I have then gone on to read some genuinely brilliantly written criticism from people who are hard of hearing or deaf, and it just kind of, I don't know, again, like you said, Charlotte, I'm not at all informed enough on the whole topic or the subject of hard of hearing people and deaf people and all that kind of stuff, so I can't really say too much. But I, would happily side with the people who experience this and are part of this community any day of the week. So if they say there are problems with it, then I will go, well, right, there are problems with it. And basically, it's a great film. I just watched it actually today as of recording. And it's heartwarming, it's wonderful, it does lots for representation that it should do, which is very good, very good. And if it leads to more films with majority deaf casts being made, with, deaf creatives and all that kind of stuff, then that is a product of the film, and that's great. That is really wonderful. But I feel like there are some things in the film that just can't be looked past, and I'm not going to go into that because, again, I'm not informed enough. But I do have to give a shout out to it's at JFBcom on Twitter, JFBEACOM. She's called Jenna. She, I believe, is hard of hearing or deaf. And she has wrote a full review, but also a full Twitter thread on some of the issues with Coda, and it goes really in depth on it. And I feel like once you've watched Coda, go and seek out threads like this from people who are part of the community and read up on that and see it from their perspective, because I feel like that's what we have to do. It's all good and well giving it like a 5 stars because it's nice and heartwarming and nice and cool, but I feel like you have to see it from the other side as well.
Okay. Well, I'm really interested off the back of that to hear more. So I absolutely am going to track that down, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice.
Do it.
And say, of the film's own merit, like beyond the further discussion there to be had, I do want to give particular shout out to Emilia Jones, the film's lead. I think she is so good in that role. Like, it's like the criticism of formulaic has been thrown at this, and I've seen that myself since I've watched this. Again, I actually watched this as well today. I just feel like this film in particular, like, there are obviously the tensions and the conflicts in this film, and then it isn't any other story. But there's something about Emilia Jones. I mean, she's been in some things in the past, and she's been really great in them. A lot of TV stuff, so she's been in things like Utopia, and I think an episode of Doctor Who way back when. And then she's done things since then. I think she's on Lock and Key, the Netflix show, I believe. But no, she's been in everything that she's been in, and she's been everything. She's been great in everything that she's been in, and she brings that to this as well. And like, even just, I don't know if it's her singing voice, but it was. I hope it is, because terrific.
Yeah, completely agree.
Yeah. I do think we need to say, those people who are raising issues around Coda and representation and things like that are well worth mentioning. I think maybe we should even link some things in the description. Who knows? People who are listening to this.
Definitely. Well, we can definitely link that Twitter thread into the description of the episode, 100%, and then and if we can find some other stuff, then 1000% pop that in.
Absolutely. So keep an eye out for that in the description in the podcast, wherever you catch it. We have one more review. Now, guys, I don't know if either of you managed to catch Don't Breathe 2.
No, I didn't.
You're on your own with this one, Simon.
All right, well...
but what I do have to say first, does the first one involve a turkey baster, or am I wrong?
It does, in a very horrific way.
So it is that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad I haven't seen it, then.
Yeah, so the first film is notable by that particular scene. The second film does not improve on that. So, for those who are not familiar, so the first Don't Breathe was from Fede Alvarez, who manned the Evil Dead remake, and also this is produced by Sam Raimi, so they're very much kind of mates with each other here. So this film comes out 5 years after the original, and the original was fine. Like, it was very good for what it was, but it was not memorable particularly. It more did a trade in nastiness than anything else, and its gimmick was, so the premise of it was that these kids were desperate in Detroit, and they were destitute and they wanted some money or something to just kind of get by on, and one character in particular was looking for a means to get out of the city and have a new life for herself and her sister. And so they targeted who they thought was an easy prey, basically, an easy mark. It's an old blind man who returns in this film. But basically the twist is that the blind man is incredibly competent. He's a retired Navy SEAL, and he knows every inch of his house. So how would you do a sequel? Well, basically, you burn down the house and you try and make him a hero. From his actions in the first film, he's not a character who is morally redeemable at all, and yet they try their best. So there are some things, surprisingly, to Don't Breathe 2's credit. The violence is incredibly violent. If you're looking for a violent film, you got it. There's a storyline involving a young girl played by Madeline Grace. I don't want to spoil too much in case you do go and see this. I say don't bother, but if you do, her role is very interesting and twisty, turny, and she does very well with it. The character is 11 years old. I actually, to my shame, have not looked up Madeline Grace to see if she's playing to age there, but she is doing surprisingly, not surprisingly, she's done very good work, given surprising given the quality of that script, because it is dreadful. I think as well there are some moments which are cinematically interesting. There's one particular one-shot sequence which goes around the blind man's house and Madeline Grace's character in particular, as a new wave of home invaders come in. So this is set after Don't Breathe 1. It's not a prequel or anything like that, before you get curious about that. But yes, it really does try and redeem its protagonist in the vein of Terminator 2. So in the first one, you have this unforgivable character. At the first, you see him as a victim, but then it turns out there are other things which come involving the aforementioned appliance, which we'll not get into here because it is not for decent ears. But yeah, it's and he's also a murderer on top of his other crimes, and so you're trying to see him as the hero in this film, and he's absolutely not meant to be unsympathetic at all. You're meant to be rooting for him from the off. The issue here as well is that you don't have the novelty of the first film, where you have that high concept there. That's very much gone out the window. It's gone in favour of this family drama kidnapping rescuing plot, which gets very bogged down in its own almost self-importance. The first half of the film, in fact, is absolutely ponderous, and it's 98 minutes long, and it feels twice as long as that.
Oh,
it is not. It has some real issues. Like, for all of the interesting camera work at one point, as I mentioned, everything else around it is just tedious with a capital T, and it's one of the worst films I've seen this year.
Oh, damn.
So last week, yeah, it's really, really awful. Like, there is no redeeming factor in it at all. Stephen Lang is dull in it. He's not good at all. But again, that's more a fault of the script, giving him absolutely nothing to do than fumble around as a blind man, which he is not in real life. There is, well, there is an act of John Wickian violence against a dog, which I will not encourage anyone to root for in any way. There are family dramas which get into EastEnders level ridiculous.
oh God!
It is, and to top it all off, the only saving grace, apart from Madeline Grace, is that you have Dave Coaches from Gavin and Stacey in it for like 5 minutes.
What?
And it was worth it only to go, hang on a minute, that's Dave Coaches.
I like our shared
Otherwise-
cultural appreciation of this fact. This is good to get a baseline on our
Yes.
shared interests.
Yes.
Why does Dave Coaches just turn up in like random films here, there, and everywhere?
I don't know. In this film,
Oh, that's another good feature idea. As
Where's
well. Why does
Dave?
Dave Coaches
Dave,
turn up?
Dave Coaches.
Oh, Dave, what's occurring?
But honestly, like, short of that, like, sudden little surprise, and he's involved in some organ trafficking subplot which goes absolutely nowhere.
Of course.
What?
Yeah, it's honestly,
Okay.
I felt myself age watching this film, and yeah, don't breathe, don't hold your breath, don't bother. It's anyway, I've got that out of my system now.
I'm glad you have. Do you feel better now?
I do, you know. I
Good.
feel cleansed. I feel like the old lady from Poltergeist has just come in and said, "This room is clear." Moving swiftly on. So yeah, at the top of this review section, we spoke about Free Guy, and then the news. We had a piece about a video game movie. So you know what? Let's talk about video game adaptations. Some have been
Yay.
good. Some have been god awful. Let's be honest, most have been god awful. But
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say that, you know, some have hit our heart closer than others. So guys, I want to know, what are your favourite video game adaptations? What are your least favourites? And are there any that don't quite hit the perfect, but you still want to give a shout out to? Charlotte, have you got a real close fave video game adaptation?
I mean, this isn't the best round for me. I was looking at the list thinking, I know it's bad, I've not seen it. I know it's not bad, I've not seen it. But good. Detective Pikachu.
Okay.
I really loved that film.
Nice.
But the nostalgia of Pokemon, and I thought it was really well handled. I thought it was a really strong neo-noir. And I really enjoy fantasy battle sequences where I can see London landmarks.
Yes. Okay, yeah, that's very fair.
That would have been my honourable mention, I think, of any of them. They're very much so. I enjoyed that way more than I thought I was going
agreed.
to in the cinemas.
And Ryan Reynolds.
I remember watching it with a friend in a very inebriated state of mind and just laughing at everything.
Although, why in all that is holy is Rita Ora in that film?
That is, honestly, it's the question on everyone's lips: is why is Rita Ora?
Yeah, just why is Rita Ora?
Is she still 60 feet tall and terrorizing London like in those adverts?
No. She's in the arms of Taika Waititi. currently.
Oh, well, okay. Distracted him away from his hour or two on set of Free Guy.
Or is it a throuple with Tessa Thompson?
Oh, well, the plot thickens.
The plot does thicken.
Speaking of, we should add a twist in this tale, Charlotte. What would be your least favourite of the video game movies you have?
The
so
only
far?
one that I've seen and really didn't like was Max Payne.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. Gosh, that is pretty bad.
The reason I think I picked it as well, it was the front cover of Total Film when I was really obsessed with reading both that and Empire. Like consuming all the film media I could. And I remember thinking, this is not a good cover. This picture is not good. And then it had an article about Max Payne, the first good video game movie. And that question has carried on for like 13 years since, at least.
Oh, wow.
I definitely wasn't then.
No. It was the same year as The Happening. Mark Wahlberg did not have a good, 2008? 2009?
God, yeah, that was, I think 2008. I think you're right. I mean, that is... Wow.
Good for me.
Okay. And so, you said you hadn't seen a lot of them on the list, but is there any... or many of them?
I would go for honourable mention of Warcraft.
Oh, yes, the Duncan Jones film.
Yeah, there's things about it I like. I just don't think it came together very well.
Okay. Oh. Let's say, I think I'd agree with you with that one. Alex, let's see. I'm curious. What's really what's leveled up in your eyes as the favourite video game film so far?
Well, just before we get into it, we said that this counted. This counts.
We did say.
It's Wreck-It Ralph. Has to be.
Okay.
Has to be, hands down. One of Walt Disney Animation Studios' best films, top 5 easily, maybe even top 3 if I'm being serious. I just love it. It is the warmest hug of a movie. It is Disney getting an anti-hero movie right.
Right.
Which doesn't happen very often.
That's true.
And the video game stuff in it is very good. And although it is kind of more arcadey games than video games, you still have your little Sonic references and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I just love it so much, and I will always tear up at the bit where Ralph is about to sacrifice himself in the Candy Land driving video game. But love it. And also the sequel isn't actually terrible.
Yeah, Ralph Breaks the Internet, which is not bad at all. Both of which, for a little bit of podcast promotion synergy, are discussed. I believe the second one's been discussed as part of the ongoing. I think it's actually now finished. Disney series, which has been kind of going out for the last few months.
Yes.
So yes, I recommend catching that. Yeah, they've been really fun. So if you go back through the JumpCast episodes, you'll be able to catch those as well. I believe it's called the Disney Classic Series. So shout out to that. It's
to Sarah and Barry there.
Sarah and Barry, you've done a great job. They've wrapped it now, so what better opportunity now than to go back and listen to those?
Go back and listen to them. Yeah, definitely.
Oh gosh. But yeah, no, fair enough. Wreck-It Ralph. I think it's still a fair shout. Okay, so we've gone from one end to the other end of the spectrum. What's your worst?
Assassin's Creed.
Not even hesitating.
No way. Like, talk about taking one of the best video game franchises to ever exist and just making that lifeless piece of garbage. Oh my god, Michael Fassbender, stop it. No, I mean, it wasn't even really his fault, to be honest.
No.
It's just not good. It takes what is such a wonderful concept, just the most intriguing idea, and just makes it so boring.
Yeah.
And it changes things that are like, why would you even change it? Because like one of the main things in Assassin's Creed is the animus, which is what makes what gets the person in the present day to be able to be in the body of the person in the past. And it changes that to make it more cinematic, but it's awful. It just goes too far, and absolutely terrible film. Just terrible. And I'm so happy now that they're developing a series for Netflix, which will hopefully be better than. Yeah, well, because Netflix seems to have a better track record with video game adaptations, i.e., The Witcher.
Yeah.
So yeah, excited. That should be good.
Well, it's cautiously optimistic. Okay, and we are getting on a little bit. So I'm gonna ask you very quickly. What's your honourable mention?
It was Detective Pikachu, and
okay.
Charlotte has already said all the reasons that I loved it. So there you go.
Well, there we go. Okay, so from me, very very quickly, I will rush through these. So I'm gonna say my favourite has got to be the original and best Lara Croft Tomb Raider. Angelina Jolie, Daniel Craig, Chris Barry, Ian Glenn. I mean, oh god, so good, so silly, but so good. I love it very much. Daniel Craig especially. There's a really great inversion of the male gaze in those big action films in 2001, which is very funny still and very clever. And I even for a big dumb action film, which I very much enjoyed. It seems not to be the consensus with a lot of people because that's not done very well critically, but yeah, still close to my heart. Also the first 12 film I watched, so fun fact. Yeah. For me, worst film, and if we're counting Wreck-It Ralph, then we're counting this, Pixels. Pixels, it dirties my mouth just to say its name. Pixels, oh god, how I hate thee. A film that shows nothing but disdain for video games and for video game players. It basically reinforces every negative stereotype of anyone who's ever even touched a console or joystick or whatever. It's atrocious. I know that Happy Madison films get dunked on, sometimes rightly so, never more so than in this case. Anyway, Pixels.
The only dunk when it comes to Happy Madison film, the only dunk that matters is Dunkachino.
Dunkachino. Yes, we did it. We got Dunkachino in.
Yes.
And you know what? I'm going to say honourable mention because I had so much fun with it. And you know what? Just to bring things full circle, Dwayne Johnson in Rampage. I thought,
interesting.
Very silly, but it's so much fun. It was absolute trash of the highest order, but I love my trash. I just can't help it.
Yeah. You just got to have a bit of trash every now and again. You just do.
What? Sometimes it just makes it extra special. And
exactly.
But it's you don't always want to dine at the gourmet fancy restaurant. Sometimes you just want a Burger King.
Or even like a Wetherspoons or something.
Or even let's...
Maybe not that. I was just trying to think of low quality.
Okay, yeah.
That's really nice.
When the lowest of the low, in more ways than one. But for fear of going on for way too long, we should probably get our last little bits of housekeeping. So guys, if there's anything else on your radar which we haven't talked about, speak now or hold your peace until next week.
Holding.
My peace is held, yeah.
Holding. Okay, well, it's flown by, but my gosh, I feel like we've been talking for some time this time around. I told you it was a packed episode at the start, guys. I did warn you. But, well, thank you so much for listening. It's been fantastic, as ever, to have you guys around. Charlotte, Alex, it's been really lovely having you here as well, as always, to talk to.
Always a pleasure, Simon. Always.
Excellent. Yay. Gosh, we've been doing this for 3 episodes officially now, 4 episodes overall, and it still feels like brand new and exciting.
Yeah, I cannot wait for the time that we record this every week. It's like the highlight, one of the highlights of my week.
Mine too.
Always the best.
Mine too. Oh gosh. And well, we hope you can join us next week, listeners, where we will be talking about, I dare say, reminiscence. You got the new G.I. Joe film. We've got The Night House. Oh my gosh, we have got so many films next week which we can get to. People Just Do Nothing. I mean, we are absolutely blessed.
Jam-packed.
Jam-packed. Cinema, kino, whatever you want to call it. But until then, thank you so much for listening. If you like this, then please follow us and subscribe on socials, on Spotify and Apple Music, wherever you get your podcasts. Definitely give whatever you can to the Patreon, as we mentioned before. Check out all the links that we're going to include at the bottom of the podcast description. And we will see you next week for more